Got my early 80s Sears box fan running right there. That's the one with the penthouse control and the thermostat. That fan is pretty much what got me interested in collecting box fans. There was one exactly the same as this at an old farmhouse in the attic that my family used to own, and it was used to exhaust air from that hot attic, and it lasted forever. So I found this one on eBay back in, I think, 2018, and it runs great. Also got this one right here. This is just a 2-speed. It doesn't have the penthouse control, but it also runs great. Love the motors in these. I love the way they sound. This one is a 3-speed, of course. I was able to find another one in the original box. This one supposedly does not work. I'm thinking it's just a thermostat issue and I can bypass that, but we will see what happens. Let's open it up. You can see the fan is in there. I'm going to pull this out of the box and we'll take a better look at it, bring it over to the workbench. Got it out of the box. The condition of the back grill is kind of disappointing. It's missing a screw right there, which would help, but as you can see, it broke up here, and parts of it are down in the box. That was probably shipping damage. Really hate that. Fortunately, the front grill is in much better condition. I'm thinking this side was facing the window and it just got damaged by the sun. I did move the screw from up here that wasn't holding anything on down here, so hopefully that cuts down on some vibration if it works. When I shook this fan around, the blade did not turn, so I'm going to try and turn it with my finger if I can get it in there. Okay, this thing is completely locked up. It is really stiff. Apparently this doesn't do anything when you power it on, so let's see what happens. The cord looks like it's in pretty good shape, and the inside is really clean too. There's not rust on the bottom of it or anything, so I'm going to hook it up to the kilowatt meter and we'll see what happens. Alright, it's on low speed right now. Let's just turn it off. Thermostat is now all the way in the coldest position. Let's see what we get here. Let me plug it in. Got it on amps right now. Okay, so we are pulling amps, and it is just humming, so the motor is just seized up. That'll be an easy fix. You can take that apart and oil it up. Looks like this fan was condemned in 1991. Says this fan doesn't work. 11/24/91. That's interesting. Must have seized up a really long time ago. I've gotten some of these fans that were more heavily used. At least it seems like they were more heavily used. And they weren't seized up, so I wonder why this one did. But we'll get it working again. Like I said, I like these fans quite a bit. I've got 2-speed Galaxy right there, that 2-speed Sears, 3-speed Galaxy, there's a 3-speed Lasco upstairs, that Sears right there, and now that one, which we're going to try to get going. Front grill is off. You can tell it's the sun that really damages these, because this one you can tell is real brittle. Front one isn't very brittle at all. So, you know, it spins, but it's very hard to turn. So this is definitely going to need some major oiling. I'm going to get the blade off, take the back grill off, and I don't think we're going to be doing a whole lot of cleaning on this thing. It really doesn't seem like it was used much. Probably just sat forever. Blade came off pretty easily. It's dusty inside that hub. And this, I can't turn it at all right now without the extra leverage from the blade, so yeah, this thing is really seized up. I wonder how the windings look. They look fine, so I'm sure if this thing was run until it seized up. The thermal fuse probably tripped and saved it. Pretty sure these have resetting thermal fuses, although I don't know for sure. So let's take the back grill off now. Back grill's off, and there's some very, very gooey and gummy lubrication on that back bearing, so this is going to need some work. But these motors are very tough. I had one that arrived with the bearings were actually loose because the part that holds the bearing in place was cracked, and they were just totally loose in there, but I was able to fix it, and that thing still runs great. So these motors are pretty tough. Windings are good quality, and it seems like they can take a beating and still come back to life. So I am going to start vacuuming. I'm going to take the motor off first, and going to try and sand as much of this crap off as I can and take this motor apart and get some oil in this thing and get all that dust out of there. Got the motor apart. It was really hard to get that rear shaft out of the back, and I haven't gotten the front one out yet. But windings look pretty good, and as far as I can tell, the bearing looks okay. So I'm going to vacuum this out more and then blow it out with compressed air, and then I'm also going to get this rotor out of here. That wasn't too bad. Just put some thin oil on it, gave it a little bit of persuasion, and it came right out. So that's good. I'm going to go ahead and vacuum this and get the rest of the crap out with my air compressor. Alright, motor is nice and clean inside now. Blew as much of the dust out as I could. Still a little bit of dust left down there that's kind of hard to get off, but it's pretty clean in there now. So I'm going to start putting oil in the wicking material around the bearing, and then of course in the bearing itself and on the motor shaft when I slide it back in there. Same thing for this side. I'm going to put as much oil in this as I can. In this case, I'm going to be using a zoom spout. Alright, it's all back together. Spinning a lot free. Well, it wasn't spinning at all before, so yeah, you can see it's pretty free now. Let's start it up. Spins just fine on all speeds. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Going to clean the blade now and then start putting it back together, and we'll give it its final test run. I gotta put this wire tie thing back on so these wires aren't just hanging out loose. I washed out the hub on the blade, and I just washed the whole thing, and it's on. It's spinning nice and free now. I'm gonna give it a test run before I put the grills on. I'm gonna turn the other one off first. But that looks pretty good. Turn this one off so it's quiet. Got the amp meter hooked up. Let's start with high speed. Wow. This thing doesn't make any, that motor doesn't make any noise at all. Usually these have a cool sound that they make. Pulling 2 amps. Sounds about right. These are rated at 2.2 amps. Medium. And low. If you listen, put your ear by the frame, you can kind of hear the sound, but it's very faint on this one. I'm going to assume this was lightly used. It was used for a little bit and then put away, and it seized up. So we're drawing on low. 71 watts, let's go up to medium. And high. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a major improvement. I am going to put the grills back on, bring it upstairs, and run it for a while. Hopefully that back grill that's all messed up doesn't vibrate. Front and back grill are on, and amazingly it was not making any annoying vibrating sounds. I'll turn it on again. This thing sure is quiet. Now it's ready to be used. Watch that spin down time one more time. Amazing what a little oil can do. Well, I didn't really use a little, I used way too much, but probably won't seize up anytime soon.